things do radiate in the universe. And the most powerful presence of radiance is the sun. So you have the sun just overwhelming us with its radiance. And with the sun and throughout, I'm going to suggest that there are two levels to the radiance. So we'll start off with the sun. The sun creates helium in its core. So it does this amazing thing. It brings together hydrogen. It compresses the hydrogen into helium. And then there's a release of light. First point to notice is this. Light wasn't there until it was created. Really interesting. So we call particles of light photons. And so we have this, all these photons are arriving here from the sun. That's the radiance of the sun. But the photons are not like little tiny BBs that are inside some kind of purse, in the sun, and then sort of released and thrown. That's the amazing thing. The photons are generated by the process of fusion. So it radiates. It releases this light. It creates the light. And then this amazing process of transmission of light. If it were just BBs, like little particles thrown from the sun to the earth, we could handle that. But it is so mysterious because the light emanates as wave. And then it doesn't actually become a photon until the interaction itself. So you have this mysterious emanation of light as a wave, and then suddenly this collapse of the wave down into the particle photon, and there's the light being created. And so we're bathed with this radiant energy from the sun. Great. All right, so we say we can see the sun. There it is. We see the light from the sun. We got all that down. But the sun is also giving off something else. In our model of this, I'm now talking about the gravitational interaction. So the sun is giving off messenger particles that mediate the gravitational interaction. They're called gravitons. And gravitons, photons, you can see how physicists have put this together. But now there's another level of perception is required here on the part of the Earth. When the light comes from the sun, the interaction takes place at the surface with the electrons at the surface of the Earth. So you have the photons interacting with the electrons. But now you have these gravitons flooding us, the waves of gravitons. They penetrate all the way into the Earth. So it's a depth interaction, not just at the surface. And here's the amazing thing. The interaction creates the gravitational attraction. That is one major event. You know how big the Earth is? You know how heavy it is? Right. In other words, it's being pulled toward the sun because of this interaction. But, ready for this? Here's the amazing part. Gravitons, okay, a hypothesized messenger particle of the gravitational interaction. Gravitons have zero rest mass. So you have particles with zero rest mass arriving here and generating an enormous response, namely pulling the Earth actually toward the sun. So this is a model. I'm trying to suggest this as a model for thinking about interaction in general. I'm saying that the radiance of the sun is in terms of light that we can see. It's in terms of gravity that we can feel. The way in which I've discussed it here in a number of these presentations is that every being you encounter contains 14 billion years of radiance. So it's each being you come across has had 14 billion years of radiance compressed into it. And so that the great thrill of being a human is to interact, to resonate, and so that suddenly all of that radiance begins to reverberate out. That's the possibility for the human. And once again, you can see here how impossible it would be to approach this if you're constantly telling yourself, like we do in the dominant paradigm, that things are just what they seem. They're just this stuff here. It's just stuff you're going to use for the economy. The economy is going to determine whether or not it has value and all the rest of it. If we're constantly telling ourselves this, then we just slide right into consumerism. We don't even notice what we're using. We touch it for a minute and a half and it ends up in the toxic dump. You see, all of this is the opposite of recognizing that you're surrounded by beings that are just crammed with radiance.